So Star Wars Eclipse is a brand new game set in the High Republic that recently had a new trailer released. So that is exactly what this video is going to be about. I'm going to be breaking down the trailer shot by shot, explaining what each shot is. So before we begin, please do leave a like, subscribe, and let's get started with the Eclipse trailer breakdown. So the trailer opens with this grey dude who is from an unrecognizable species who actually appears a lot in this trailer, which makes me think that his species is going to be a key story element to this game. We then get a shot of an actual eclipse being a moon covering a sun, and what relevance this has in a Star Wars story I do not know. We have never seen it before, I don't know what will happen, but I think it is definitely symbolic of Palpatine's darkness covering up the light of the Jedi in the prequel trilogy that takes place just 200 years after the High Republic and after this game. We then get a shot of someone looking up at the eclipse, and you can see it take place in their eye, which is cut off by the grey dudes banging on a gong. For what purpose I do not know, but it does make for an epic trailer. Next up we see a damaged ship in space, very similar to the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer where we see the Razor Crest a bit busted up, and funnily enough, when I first saw this trailer I thought it was for a series like The Mandalorian or something because of how good the graphics were. Anyway, the ship being damaged implies that it's been in a fight, maybe against one of the members of an army we see later on in the trailer, or one of the other like 5 possible groups that are the enemy in the storyline of this game. It could be the Jedi or the High Republic versus this army that I mentioned that shows up at the end. We then visit a very beautiful planet, and rather similar to Naboo, just a better looking version, which seems right for an era of Star Wars that is basically just a better version of the Republic from the prequels. And we then presumably cut to the streets of this same planet, seeing many familiar species, and the main ones being a Mon Cala, which is the same as Admiral Akbar. It's a trap! And then a Duros, which is the same species as another main character from another Star Wars game, being Battlefront 2's campaign. Next up we get a very quick shot of a ship or speeder of some kind, again showing how peaceful the planets were before the Clone Wars. And now for the money shot. My favourite scene in the whole trailer is where we see Yoda in the Jedi Council room on Coruscant, which I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with the character of Yoda in the game before the prequel trilogy, where he so often moans about how the dark side has clouded his vision. Then we get some troops or just some people marching through the streets of the planet, presumably from earlier, and they could definitely be important because they're all wearing the same thing and they seem to be leading someone else. Not leading as in like in charge of, but leading the march through the streets, protecting someone else. Then we see a B-Tech C-3PO, or basically just an old version of a protocol droid, and he actually appears to be on a desert planet and on the crash site of one, because behind him there is definitely some disturbance in the sand, meaning that something's gone into it, and it appears to be a little bit smoky as well. So I wonder why that is the case, who has crashed, and how did they crash. This is then followed by more shots of the eclipse, but then 2 Jedi fighting, and this does not appear to be a friendly spar as they are outside seemingly really going for each other. So I wonder who is the bad guy out of those 2 and why have they turned, and I imagine whatever the answer to that question is going to be a big part of the game's story. Next up is another new planet, and it actually looks a lot like Kashyyyk if Kashyyyk was a little bit more advanced, because we don't really see any metallic structures on Kashyyyk until after the Empire takes over, and obviously there's no Empire at this point, so it is just a more advanced version of Kashyyyk. I wonder if it actually is. Then we see some fighter pilots head towards what appears to be quite a dark and definitely non-Republic building, making me think that this is where one of the bad guys or enemies in the story stays, and then we cut to a member of the Trade Federation species, which is later followed by what appears to be a Trade Federation ship from the Phantom Menace. So maybe this game will explain why the Trade Federation is already such big enemies to the Republic by the time of the Phantom Menace. However, then we get another great shot from the trailer, which is 2 Jedi preparing to fight another large group of people, and this time another different species, so it's another group of potential enemies to the Republic and the Jedi in this game, which is really making me think that people don't like the Republic at this point as much as they didn't in the prequel trilogy. We then cut to a lady that I am happy to assume is another Jedi, standing in the wreckage of another building that has just collapsed and is on fire, which I believe is definitely from one of the armies that we see in this trailer, probably the one that comes in later on that we haven't actually seen yet in the trailer, as they appear to be the largest of the ones that we have seen yet, therefore can cause the most damage. I actually believe that this army that you're about to see is the main villains of the High Republic Jedi in this game. And here we see that army. They have soldiers in armor, then they have some huge vehicles and some ships, so they're appearing to be a genuinely big threat in this game. And now this is where the Trade Federation looking ship actually comes into the trailer, and this appears to be a pretty big space battle. So like I've been saying, it appears that there is a lot of enemies to the High Republic at this point in the timeline. We finish up the trailer with the eclipse going into full effect as the moon continues to cover the sun, and then we go to the grey people again as they finish banging their gongs. We get a good look at what one of them looks like as he turns around to reveal one of them being born out of the floor. I don't know what's happening here, but I imagine that this is actually a result of the eclipse itself happening for whatever reason. I don't know, it's probably specific to their species, and I imagine it will get explained thoroughly inside the game. So there we have it then. That is the new trailer for Star Wars Eclipse, broken down, every single shot, thoroughly explained, trying to give my thoughts on what is actually happening in the moment. If I've missed anything, please do let me know in the comments, but if you have enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, because I will be making many more videos on this game as we get more news, and many more videos on news for many more Star Wars games that come out in the future, we hope. But with that being said, thank you for watching, I hope you did enjoy, and goodbye.